Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As you can see, it is once again a lovely and sunny day. Alright, today we are going to be going over the fundamentals, what they are, what they do, as well as building up a draw stroke, phrasing, practicing drawing from a holster, and also doing multiple shots. So as always, let's get started. So what do the fundamentals do? For me, they do three things. One is they provide accurate shots on target. It's number one. Number two, they allow for recoil control, which directly relates to number three, which is fast and accurate follow-up shots. So let's go over them. I have 5 fundamentals. First one is body position. One, you just ideally want to be standing straight up, semi-athletic, kind of like a fighting stance, with your arms out in an isosceles-like position. What this allows for maximum recoil control. If you have a proper grip, the gun will come straight up and straight back down. Sorry, allergies. With a pretty squared up kind of fighting stance, it also allows for good mobility. Depending on your flexibility, almost about 180 degrees. This is the Weaver stance. You see a lot of older shooters shoot this. Arm bent, wrist bent. You're kind of doing a push-pull, and your bottom part of your body, your legs, are kind of pointing in opposite direction of your torso. This will work. This will get the job done. There are a couple of things. When it first came out in the 60s by Jack Weaver, it was fantastic. It was a groundbreaking technique that really increased the speed of shooters. However, you're giving up some recoil control with the bent arm, and you're also limiting your mobility by almost reducing it to about 90 degrees or so. Alright, so that goes over body position. Grip. Your gun recoils back, up, and then to the path of least resistance. So I'm a right-handed shooter. The gun's going to come back up and to the left. If you're a right-handed shooter, the gun's going to come back up and to the right. So how do we combat these forces? Number one, ideally, I have small hands, but ideally you want the gun in line with your forearm as much as possible. That will help the backward muzzle flip. You want to grip the gun as high as you possibly can. You want to embed the beaver tail of the gun into the webbing of your hand. Just embed it into your hand. If you have a low grip, you're compromising, you are giving up leverage of the firearm. So embed the beaver tail in the webbing of your hand, grip the gun as high as you possibly can. With your support hand, I've seen a lot of shooters kind of do this support hand thumb over top of your primary thumb, your support thumb over top of your primary thumb, and your wrist is kind of like a punch. It's kind of like punching out. Once again, this will get the job done, but it is not allowing for maximum recoil control. Ideally, you want to lock that wrist out, because a locked wrist is harder to break than a non-locked wrist, and consume as much of that pistol as possible. Support, you want as much contact with the pistol with both hands as possible. You don't want any gaps. Alright, so primary thumb over top of support thumb. And as you press out, think of like a boa constrictor. Grip should be getting tighter. If you're noticing movement or your hands separating, fix your grip. Fix your grip. So that's number 2. Body positions, grip. Sidearm sight picture. Front sight in between the rear. Even light to either side. Everything level cost. Focus should be on the front side. Alright. So sight picture, trigger control. Ideally, you want to put as much finger on the trigger as possible. What that does is give you the maximum amount of leverage and pull straight to the rear. Okay? You really want to practice trigger control more than any of the other ones. Poor trigger control relates to most misses. So really practice. You can do this without ammo. Go home, make sure the gun's empty, and practice dry fire. So as much finger on the trigger and straight to the rear without your sights deviating at all. Alright. Next up is probably the most neglected out of all the fundamentals, and that is follow through. What follow through does, it's two parts: resetting the trigger and realigning the sights. What that allows is for quick follow-up shots. So let me put on some hearing protection real quickly. Step to the side a little bit. So I fire my shot. I'm going to simulate firing my shot. I fire my shot, bang. And resetting the trigger is nothing more than letting it out just far enough till the sear resets, till it clicks right there, and then removing any little bit of slack, bring your trigger back to the wall, and realign their sights. This should be done as soon as possible. So after you fire your shot, boom, as quickly as possible, reset that trigger, realign your sights. So reset them both. Okay? Alright, let's work on your draw stroke. We're going to start with the later part of the draw stroke. We're going to start from after you acquired your support hand grip. We're going to bring the gun straight up and press out. Okay? What you don't want to do is fishing, and what you don't want to do is bowling. The problem with those two are you cannot align your sights until the very end of your draw stroke. And then at the very end of your draw stroke, now you can start pulling the trigger. Same thing with here. You can't see your sights till right now, and then you start pulling the trigger. Just waste time. So bring the gun straight up, have a flat presentation. I can see my sights right about now. About right now, I start prepping my trigger. Sight squeeze, fire my shot, reset the trigger, realign the sights. Alright, let's give it a good try. Let's give it a try. Alright, make sure your grip is solid, in line with your forearm as much as possible. Have a high grip as possible. Support hand, consume as much of the pistol, as much contact with both hands as possible. Lock everything in. Come straight up, have a flat presentation, sight squeeze, trigger reset, sight realignment. And recover. Now you can look at your target. Alright, once again, sight squeeze, trigger reset, sight realignment. Now recover. Alright, come up, sight squeeze, and recover. Side squeeze. Cover. As soon as the engagement's over and you lose the acceptable sight picture, finger off the trigger. Alright. Side squeeze. And reset. Alright, I'm going to do this one more time. Come up. Side squeeze. And here we go. Alright. Gun is unloaded. Once again, gun is unloaded. I want to holster up. Before we start practicing drawing and holstering, I want to go over a couple things. You need to be very cautious about drawing and holstering your firearm. When you start out, be very methodical. Don't rush it. The reason why it's so dangerous is when people end up shooting themselves, these are the top two times when they end up doing. They go to draw their gun, they get really aggressive, and their finger ends up getting in their trigger guard. They end up putting their finger on the trigger, end up blasting a hole in their leg. Alright? Same thing when they holster, finger's still on their trigger, and then they end up slamming their gun into the holster and pulling the trigger. The other thing is, make sure that there's no items of clothing in your holster. Make sure it's absolutely clear. If you have jackets with drawstrings, Make sure you're very aware that these things do not get into the holster. And yes, that is a flip phone. So, this is a unloaded gun. I'm going to simulate my hand being the holster. This is where you acquire the perfect grip. I'll move my hand down just a little bit. When you come down to grip your gun, high as possible. If you're a little low, that's okay. Shove your hand up. Acquire that nice high grip. If you're a little high, okay, that's fine. Bring your hand down, shove your hand up. Alright. Your support hand, bring it to your abdomen area. You can either do it flat, or I lock my wrist out like that, so that when I bring my hand in, all I have to do is close my hand. So I lock my wrist out, and it's in the center line of my body. One thing that you need to be very cautious of is your support hand. Once again, unloaded gun. You do not want to get your hand in front of that muzzle and blast a hole in your hand. Alright, so we're going to do this dry a couple times. So simultaneously, when you go for your gun, support hand goes to your center line of body, primary hand goes to the gun. This is stage 1. There are 5. Grip simultaneously, acquire your grip on your gun, and support hand moves to center line of body. Grip, lift, just enough to clear the holster. That's it. You're not bringing it all the way up to your underarm or to your armpit. Just enough to clear the holster. Dip while keeping your arm bent in that same position when you lifted the gun out of the holster. You're going to dip your elbow straight down to the ground, bringing the gun to pointing your gun at the target. Okay. Dip. Dip. Stage 4, clap. This is where you acquire your support hand grip. Stage 5, stab. This is what we just worked on. Bring gun up, sight squeeze, fire, reset the trigger, realign your sights, and recover. Bring your gun down, break your grip, and very methodically and carefully holster your weapon. Make sure your finger's out of the trigger guard. Some of the best advice that I heard came from Rob Latham. And Rob Latham said, a draw is nothing more than a holster in reverse. Just think about it for a second. It's crazy, but it does make sense. Alright, so, nice smooth grip. Lift, just enough to clear the holster. Dip, keeping your elbow bent, or keeping your arm bent. Drop your elbow straight down to the ground, and almost to the center line of your body. Clap, acquire your support hand grip, and stab. Boom, fire, reset the trigger, realign your sights, and recover. Alright, got some ammo here. Alright, going hot. Going for the center circle. Alright, stand by. Don't worry about speed. Proper technique. And let's go. Grip. Nice, slow, methodical. Lift. Just enough to clear the holster. Finger off the trigger. Dip your elbow straight down. Bring it to the center line of your body. Point it at the target. Clap. Acquire your support hand grip. Stab. Come up. Flat trajectory. Sight squeeze. Fire reset. And recover. Alright. Ready? Grip. Lift. Dip. Clap. Stab up. Up. Out of it. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is to add another shot. Now, if you've been practicing proper follow through, this should be a piece of cake. After you fire that first shot, all you're going to do, what you should have been doing, resetting the trigger, realign your sights. All you're going to do is confirm your sights and pull the trigger, take the rest of the slack out of the trigger. Gun's going to fire, and then you're going to practice proper follow through. Reset the trigger, realign the sights. Alright, so everything's the same. The draw, we're just building up on our fundamentals. Draws, everything's the same. Come up, fire the shot, confirm your sights, fire the shot, and reset again. Alright, bring the camera up a little bit more because I want to focus on that. We already worked on the drawing. And grip, lift, dip, clap, stab up, fire reset, and reset. And recover. Alright, got one more. Stand by. And grip, lift, dip, clap, reset, reset. Alright folks, that about wraps it up. I hope this really helped. I hope you had a good time. I hope you have a fantastic week. Remember, the weekend's almost here. Get out, practice these.